Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Completely honest with you, I was hoping and expecting not to really talk about the No Kings protest. No Kings. We don't want any kings in our country. But the thing is, not because of its impact, it's because how they tried to cover up its lack of impact that becomes the story to me. Plus, we have a lowlight reel, I'll call it, of my favorite characters that you've probably seen already, but when you group them all together, it's something to witness. My favorite characters that the internet found from the rally over the weekend, because boy, there were some beauties in this one, which kind of tells you what this was all about. Because from my eyes, and I'll be honest with you, over the weekend, Saturday, I forgot it was going on. I honestly did, and you probably did too. There's a better than average chance if you're watching or listening to me right now, you were affected 0% of this No Kings rally over the weekend. Honestly, like zero. I had family in town where I was doing some fishing, where I was living life. I forgot about it until I started looking at the highlights or some of the coverage late Saturday. And by that time, it had dispersed, which was amazing. But the media tried to tell you all weekend long until last night, that would be Sunday night, that this was way bigger than it was. Even they're backing off this now. This is fascinating to me. Anyway, we'll get to that as well. And it's not going to be all about this stupid protest thing. At the end of this, we're going to talk about baseball. You don't need to be a baseball fan, certainly not a Dodgers fan, to understand what's going on here. Through pure luck, Major League Baseball has made its biggest comeback probably ever because of one specific player, and he's a Japanese superstar. Again, you don't have to be into sports to witness what's going on here, but the biggest baseball event, I'd say, of all time is we're on the brink of the World Series. We know one of the teams, Dodgers, are going in. The greatest individual achievement ever in the baseball playoffs is happening right now. Anyway, we'll talk about that as well, but let's get to the rally. First of all, some business. Thanks for finding me. Thanks for watching on replay or live now on the live stream or audio podcast listeners, wherever you find Wicked Radio with me, Bill. Thank you so much. Let's get right to it. Now, this is the first clip we got to play for you. This is a clip I had to take from my own screenshot because NBC Boston deleted it. Isn't that interesting? So in other words, what I do is I go and find all these clips for you in the audio and save them and then bring them up here in the live stream. But when there's something that the media wants gone, they'll just delete it so there's no file of it. As we know, and apparently the mainstream media doesn't understand, the internet lives forever. We're the media now. So there's a couple of reasons why NBC Boston, and then I think further on, NBC Corporate deleted this video. A couple of reasons. First of all, I'm going to play it for you because it's hilarious. So this is the overhead shot, reportedly, more on that in a second, of the No Kings rally in Boston. Now, here are the anchors describing it, as this is supposed to be a flyover of what's happening here. And it looks like it would be a big crowd. Listen to, again, this was deleted by NBC. Listen to the commentary of what they say.
This is an older crowd. There's not a lot of folks, and granted, it's a big crowd here. I'm not good at estimating, but it's definitely over 2,000, maybe close to 3,000. We can't see everyone, but it's an older crowd. A lot of white hair. You see out there Q-tips, as we used to call them in the business, and they're out protesting, and not a lot of young people.
If that was just the end of the story, that would be classic. Oh my God, I love that so much. That's why I got reposted so much. Because Q-tips, not a lot of young people. Looks to be about maybe like 3,000. A lot of cotton heads, not a lot of young people, not a lot of energy going on there. That was bad enough, okay? So right there. But here's the more important part of the story and why NBC clipped that and got rid of it and got it out of there. Now, that same overhead shot was used and reposted by a bunch of politicians telling you that this is the biggest rally in the history of America. This is just Boston. There's 1 million people there. It's massive. There may be 10 million people. It's the greatest act of civil disobedience in America's history. You ready for this? That clip right there. Not only was the commentary hilarious about the cotton heads, that clip was from 2017. That was the women's rights thing, whatever it was, 2017. It's an 8-year-old clip that they used, and they tried to tell you was real. So you pick your reason why NBC took that down. the embarrassing commentary from the anchors in Boston, calling them cotton heads or whatever the hell they are, or the fact that it's an old clip, which leads into this. Now, they tried, and they even backed down off this. Every media outlet, maybe you followed to catch up on this thing over the weekend, tried to tell you this was 7 to 10 million people across the country protesting. Not even close. Sizable. Let's just be, generous and give it 2 to 3 million. That's a big protest. And let me say this, let me try my best to be an adult in the room and get my personal feelings aside. I didn't see a lot of acts of violence or anything, which was pretty amazing. That's good. That's really good. Because most of us who are normal people who have common sense, nobody's opposed to mass gatherings like this. Getting your feelings heard. It's a part of American tradition. No problem with that. Nobody wants a bunch of violence at all. But boy, did they get exposed right away. And by they, I mean the media partners who tried to tell you this thing was way bigger than it actually was. Exposed right away because people can put their own research together. You've got independent journalists now who have the technology, who can, they kind of like triangulate all the cell phone data and all the cell coverage from certain areas, and they try to see which ones were at previous rallies. So you can tell even they can tell right away. The average person can tell right away who a paid protester is. And also you've got overhead technology now with all these gatherings like the one in Boston from 8 years ago, where you can tell how many people are actually there. And everybody knows how they can find the clip of what's real and what's not. They can't get away with lying to you anymore. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It's wonderful. But here's the other thing. Who was there? Who was actually at these things? Because from my observation, I wasn't there. Like I said, I'm like you. I had stuff to do this weekend, like living a life and not worrying about this kind of crap. But who was there? Just from my observation, here's what I saw. Elderly activists, boomers, not really activists, just like elderly boomers, like the ex-hippies that want to be part of something again. These are the CNN, MSNBC watchers, those folks. And paid agitators. I saw a lot of that. That was so obvious. The pre-printed signs, the same kind of people you see there. Then you had the really bad activists and the Antifa fools and all the other idiots and the Communist Now Party and all those other people. So what do you have in your movement, and where do you go now? Here's the question. This was the big plan. This was it. This was the big rally to put together. This was going to be and the money that went behind this was astounding. And some of the organizations that funded this. This was the big one. This is supposed to change everything. This is supposed to change minds. But they're already backing down half of the stories. So what now? There's nothing going on with this no kings concept. They're not upset about kings. They're upset that their kings aren't in charge now. But to my point, here's another great example now. This one was DC. If you want an example, this is just a cell phone of the crowd. An example of how this is inorganic. You know what I mean? You can go to the Trump rallies if you want to and see how those things come together. They're not paid. They show up. They rally. They organize. Sure, that was from the Trump campaign or whatever. Or go to the Charlie Kirk thing. After that, you had civil disobedience. You had people showing up. You had vigils. You had organic. People just organized them, and they got there. Do you think this is organic? Prepaid signs. You'll hear the lady with the bullhorn telling them to pick up pamphlets or flyers or propaganda things or something, hand them out to as many people as you possibly can. And the beginning of this clip, again in D.C., is them practicing their chant. Have you ever heard normal people get together and practice a chant? Yeah, me neither.
We flood DC! We flood DC! November 5th! November 5th! We flood DC! We flood DC! All right. So, we need to get the word out to all the people that are here today. So we have a bunch of palm cards that we want you. We have 30,000 palm cards. But we need you to take a stack and get them out to all the people back there who don't know about what's going on.
Well, that kind of says it, doesn't it? How many? 37. Did she say palm cards? Is that what it is? I don't know. Whatever. Little pamphlets. Let's call them that for, our purposes. 30,000. Well, who paid for that printing? Somebody did. 30,000. But here's the most relevant thing of all besides the practice chant. We need to hand them out to all those people back there that don't know what's going on. She's talking about normal people in the city. They don't know what's going on. Yeah, most people don't, because they're not down with your message, whatever the hell it is. None of it's organic. But let's go to the cast of characters, my favorite folks. Let's start off with this guy, because this guy is actually probably the scariest of them all. By the way, I think 3 out of the 4 of these I'm about to play for you, they already got revealed. And it's amazing. Now, I love teachers, I love educators, but it's amazing how many of these violent-minded folks have infiltrated your profession. And you probably know that better than anybody. Here's a guy that turned out to be a professor in Chicago. Listen to what he says.
We gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
So he points to an ICE agent along the side, or some federal agent, maybe a police officer, I don't know, and he says, we got to turn the guns around them, on them, and these ICE agents have to get shot. Okay, well, there's a call for violence. All right, great. Yeah, I'm glad he's teaching young minds of America. I don't know whether he's employed as of right now, Monday morning, but he probably may not be. But again, another professor, that happens again. Then you have this guy. There's an older guy that shows up with one of those 8647 shirts. He's got a sweatshirt on, and they ask him about it. Now, he doesn't really realize that the independent journalist here is trying to get this kind of answer out of him. But listen to what this older guy says at the end.
Look at that shirt. Look at that shirt.
8647, explain it to me. I like the colors.
Kill the son of a bitch.
Kill who?
This 47th president,
Really? What's your name?
Dick Safer.
Glad we got.
I don't think that guy's going to lose a job. He's probably retired by right now. And he gives his name. Okay, 8647. That's how twisted a lot of the older Americans are. You know what I'm going to say. The next words out of my mouth. The target of my ire. The media did that. The media did that to that guy. Also, here's another victim for you. Let's check this one out. Who's this lovely American at the No Brains rally? No Kings rally.
We need to get ourselves together, and we might even need to be a little bit meaner, because the Republicans don't mind being mean.
And by mean, what do you mean? Do you mean protesting? Do you mean...
Maybe we have to, stop being so nice.
Because you seem like a pretty nice lady.
I'm a pretty nice lady, but I can be pretty mean, too.
Okay, and I have to ask this because people on the other side are going to say that they feel like the Democrat Party has been mean. Recently, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated,
He's a piece of garbage. Of course we were mean. I am so tired of people saying, oh, but, it's a terrible thing. No, Hitler is dead. I'm glad Hitler's dead. Evil people have no place in my world. He was a hateful human being.
Wow. Now, if you keep on asking questions, gradually you get that out of them. A lady like that. I'm tired. We can't be not nice anymore. Well, what do you mean, like the Charlie Kirk thing? Oh yeah, Hitler's dead. I'm glad they murdered him. What do you do with somebody like that? Like how do you deal with that person? Like if you have to deal with her in a family, and everybody's got one of them. Actually, not even aware of how actually evil she is. We need to get meaner. Republicans are, and what are the chances she's ever heard, seen, or witnessed anything that Charlie Kirk said in his life? What are the chances? I'd put him at 0. But she's heard a lot of people in her book club and at her social group and her grandma club and on her Facebook groups, maybe even Instagram, that have told her that he said evil things and he's Hitler. Not even smart enough to actually find out the information for herself, but jumped right to violence. I'll say it again. You know where I'm going with this. The media did this to this lady. Absolutely they did. But what do you do with a person like that? What do you do? Nothing. They're so far gone. And that's probably, she's older. You probably don't have to work with her. You may have to see her twice a year in your family, maybe. That's the kind of person you just let them off into their misery. Completely non-effectual. Let her live the rest of her life in misery. Because there's no turning around now. You're not going to try to convince her with facts and arguments and clips of what's really going on. She's too far gone, so let her wallow in misery. However, let me give you an example of somebody that you need to talk to. This is why I do this. This lady, this broke my heart. This is why you need to be aware of this kind of stuff, and I need to be aware of this, and we all do. You can't talk to the hateful lady or the people that want to kill people they disagree with, like the people we just played for you. They're gone. They're violent. They're gone. They're twisted. Don't worry about them. This is why I do this. This lady right here. This one. The media broke this lady and has her so scared. This breaks my heart.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything. And I just am so scared. And
This is why I do what I do. And I will for the rest of my life, because there are so many of those people. She's not violent. She doesn't want anybody to get hurt, but she is scared out of her wits because of what her media sources have done to her and what the other idiots around her have done to her, what they tell her about opposing thought. And he's going to take over America. You'll never have another election. Your kids are going to be enslaved. That's what they did to this lady. That's the person you need to speak to. You honestly do. And there are scared people like that. I got them in my life. Absolutely. They're not violent, but they've been so twisted and scared into oblivion by these ridiculous corrupt media sources and these ridiculous other ladies like the one we played previously to you that just wants to kill people she disagrees with. Got to get meaner. No, that's the kind of lady you have to help. And be a gentle soul about it, too, because she's scared. You can feel that. You can scared. She's probably never been to one of these things in her life, but she wanted to see what's going on. And she's scared because MSNBC and the idiots on The View and CNN and Facebook and all of her other ridiculous friends have told her that America's over. That's the person you have to reach out to and say, no, it's not. What you're being told is not true, okay? Here's some of the facts, and it's going to be okay. That's somebody you reach out to. But the lady that wants to kill her enemies, no. Screw her. Forget it. Let them wallow in their misery. Unbelievable. All right. Here's what else happened over the weekend to the No Kings rally.
Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
Okay. I think what he said was, ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass? Audio. This is a little confusing for audio-only listeners. Let me explain it to you. This is a car going by. Yes, some agitators who were taking the video to try to. I think they had probably a Trump flag, but definitely a Charlie Kirk flag, and that's what got the reaction out of her. You saw the clip probably already, and you might have seen it right here in the live stream already. Here's what she's doing. She saw the Charlie Kirk imagery, whatever it was on the car going by, or flag, or whatever it was, or words, and she made a motion to her neck like shooting, and she went bang like that, which is disgusting, and it's horrible, and it's awful. But remember I said a couple of minutes ago, I love my teachers. I love educators. I couldn't do it myself. It's a great profession. But I think it stands to reason to talk about this. It's stunning how many educators, how many violent, left-wing, loony people have gone into education. I mean, it's just a fact at this point. The professor there that said they need to shoot ICE agents. The other ones that said we need to get mean. This one now, who made the motioning of shooting in the neck about Charlie Kirk. Well, I'm not a big proponent of ratting people out, but internet sleuths do what they do. Within 5 hours of that clip going viral, of her making that motion, they found out she's a teacher. A lower level, like elementary school teacher in Chicago. They already found out who she was. By last night, that would be Sunday night if you're watching our replay, her school itself took its website down because they found out who she is. Everybody found her email address. I don't know whether she's still going to be employed. I'm sure the teachers union stands up for her, but this is what you do need to be concerned about. You know, the poor old lady that was scared that you need to talk to, but this lady is something how do you deal with somebody like that? How do you deal with that person? Like I said, I'm not a big fan of canceling people or ratting them out or whatever. But I will tell you this, and I'll be honest with you. If I found out that creature cheering and motioning for somebody getting shot in the neck, as she was referring to Charlie Kirk there, if I found out she was in a school where my kids were, I would do everything in my power to get her fired. Everything. And she probably will be, even by people that don't do that. You can't have anybody that has that kind of a mindset around kids. You can't have it. Differing opinion, absolutely. But somebody that's willing to do that's an evil person. it's shocking how many of those types are in education, but that's one of the that's a problem, that you can't have her around kids, teaching kids. And maybe she is a good teacher, but you can't have that, especially around lower level elementary school kids. You can't have it. So when she eventually gets fired, and it'll happen eventually here, I won't mind at all. That's somebody you have to deal with. Sorry, you just do. That's the bottom line of it. All right. Well, what's the commander-in-chief's reaction to all this? Well, we know he posted a meme of him in, I think it was an Air Force jet, dropping pounds and mounds of poop on the protesters. That was something. So that sent him over the edge. But then he actually spoke on it on Air Force One, returning back to the States. Here's his take and his reaction.
That's over the weekend, the No Kings protests.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
All right. Interesting there. Even though they tried to lie to you and say that this thing was 7 to 10 million, no, it's not. But I wouldn't say it was small. I mean, still, it was like, let's give it a couple of million. It was sizable. And again, just like I said in the introduction, I'll give him full credit. I didn't see a lot of acts of violence. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. But what he said there reminds me of what we kind of landed on at the beginning of this one. Where do they go from here? This was you got to understand something with the amount of money that went in behind this, and they're going to look into all of these organizations, and some of them are corporations that are going to shock you, by the way, funding this kind of stuff. This is the biggest funded, largest organized, and most promoted, not just on social media, but mainstream media as well. This was their big one. And it fell flat at the end of the day. What now? I mean, that was it. That was the one. Did it change your life? Didn't change mine. Like I said, I forgot about it halfway through Saturday. Did it? What effect? Let me ask you this one. Always go to this. What minds were changed by this thing? Do you think they won over one Trump vote? Where they looked at this and they said, oh, yeah. Oh, that crazy lady saying we have to get in their faces and shoot people? Oh, yeah. No, I should have voted for that. Oh, yeah. No. But I bet you there was a net negative. I bet you absolutely there were plenty of Democrats who said, wait a minute, hold on. That's my party? That's what's become of this? The communist people in New York that organized this and put it on their poster? No, I'm independent now. I bet you that happened a lot, and you'll see that a lot. This was the big one. But no minds were changed the other way, guarantee you. So I don't know where it goes from here. I'm almost hesitant to ask the question because it could get worse, I guess more violent, but the energy's not there. So if you were upset by this thing, I wouldn't be. All right, I got to get out of this. I can't talk about no brains rallies anymore. You don't have to be a sports fan to witness what's going on here. And through no work of their own, Major League Baseball has completely lucked into history. So the World Series is almost set. Dodgers are going back with that massive payroll because they swept out the Milwaukee Brewers. And on the American League side, you've got Toronto and Seattle locked in a 3-3 tie. So that's a good series there. That's also good for baseball. What's really good for baseball, and again, you don't have to be a fan to witness history. Something amazing is happening right now, and thanks to a Japanese superstar. His name is Shohei Ohtani.
Ohtani, did he? Ohtani! Ohtani has done it again! His third home run!
In a game-winning, series-clinching performance, Shohei Ohtani, now Japanese-American superstar, pitched 6 scoreless innings. He struck out 10 people, and he hit 3 home runs. It is, factually, the greatest individual performance in Major League Baseball history in a playoff game. And it's happening right now before our eyes. Like I said, Major League Baseball is so bad at marketing, but they can't even help themselves with this win. This is a huge win for baseball. You don't only have to be a Dodgers fan. I'm not. You don't have to be a baseball fan to understand what's going on here. It's something really, really remarkable. So hopefully, if you're mad at baseball for whatever reason, we still need it. We still need it to bring people together. It's still the national pastime. Not financially, but, I guess conversationally it still is. It's good to have baseball, and it's great to have people talking about baseball again. And that guy's a legend. All right, the main takeaway, a lot of these lunatics I played for you today, you can't talk to them. You can't deal with them. This is all about how you deal with the left-wing lunatics. That's what I talk about every single day. A lot of them, and this is important to it, you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to deal with the lady or that lunatic professor in Chicago who says we need to shoot ICE agents. You don't deal with them. You protect yourself against them. But again, that clip of that broken, poor soul, I think she was in New York, who's scared to death, you do need to reach out to that person. The media did this to her. Her lunatic other friends did this to her. Her Facebook group of grandmas that are just awful people did this to her. Reach out to her and have a heart and try to calm her down, because there's millions just like her. That's why I do this, to try to help people like that. That's who you reach out to. The other ones, yeah, not so much. All right, hopefully we're not talking about kings or protests or no brains or other idiots like this tomorrow, but who the hell knows what's going to be in the podcast. But we'll find it. Audio-only listeners, thanks so much for the downloads. Appreciate you as always. Just press subscribe, and a lot of you doing that now, which makes me eternally grateful. On Spotify, you have to press follow. And this is on replay on X and on YouTube and on Facebook. Just press follow there as well. But more importantly, make it a wicked awesome Monday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.